Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update from AGM Markets. Today's the 1st of August 2014. What I'm going to do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro, Dollar, Cable, Dollar, Swiss, Aussie and Gold. Just going to review what's been going on in the markets this week and give some sort of outlook for next week as well. I'll not make any trade calls recommendations in this video. You do trade at your own risk. If you could please read a full disclaimer which is on our website at www.agmmarkets.com, then that would be most appreciated. And for any new followers out there, we have 3 moving averages on each of these charts. So the red one is a 50 simple moving average, the purple is 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, then let's have a look at the Euro Dollar chart. This is the weekly, what has been going on this week in terms of this the weekly chart. So you can see last week we did have a weekly candle close above the 200-week moving average there. So I mean, you may have thought, well, some people may have thought that we may have got a slight test of the 200. It may have held, but no, it's continued to grind lower this week, and it's continuing to grind lower. And you can see we've finally grinded towards this 50% retracement. That's what we've been speaking about for some time now. Well, basically since we had that sort of heavy close there. Well, I mean, remember we had that brief test. This is off the 38.2, remember, so around this sort of level here at the 135 handle. We had that brief bounce up, but as I've said quite a few times, I mean, I personally prefer the 50% because I think you get a better sort of bounce. And you can already see that we've started to test the 50% this week. So we've got the brief test, so the weekly candle close will be interesting this at the end of this week. And of course, it is non-farm payrolls today, so if we get a really weak US number, then this really could reverse off of it, and then you never know what could happen. I mean, we could even get a close of the 200-week moving average. That's of course if it's a weak number. I mean, if it's a strong number, then we could get a real blowout here, and then you could be looking at this sort of much bigger move in terms of this weekly chart. Interestingly to note, actually, there's some previous support at this 61.8 as well, so you never know. But anyway, that's a long way away. So yeah, it really is all about the weekly candle close this week. Big week in terms of the candles here, and it could have a long-term impact, I think. But yeah, so let's flip it down towards the daily chart. What's going on? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just been grinding low this week. There's nothing more to it. I mean, you can see we've had this just keeping the same fib up. You can see we've had 2 daily tests of this 50%. We did show it piercing below that and it closed above, but you can see no green candles yet. So I expect another test of this 50% retracement today. And then of course anything can happen, and it all depending on the number. Obviously if it's a weak number, then yeah, it will probably reverse. You could get some sort of decent reversal candle. But yeah, it really is about NFP today. There's nothing. It's pretty self-explanatory. NFP really can change things. So yeah, keep an eye on that. So that's the daily chart. I mean, in terms of the 4-hour, it's pretty self-explanatory there as well. I mean, you can just see just a solid sort of down trend line which has been going on, just grinding lower. Any sort of test of this trend line has just been sold off. Yeah, you probably could extend it to there as well, perhaps. But yeah, it's just been grind lower mode room. You can see in terms of this 4-hour chart that we've had 3 tests off of this 50%, but fails to pop, failures to grind higher and get above this sort of this 134 marker. It's been a key level for the last sort of couple of days, really. Yeah, so you can see that there. So if we are going to get a pop-up, we do need to get above that. But yeah, I mean, if we do get a weak NFP number, then it will most definitely get above that. So in terms of the 1 hour, it's pretty much the same as the 4 hour, to be honest. You can see it's very tight in between the 134 and 133.70s. It has been quite quiet this week in terms of volatility. You can see there, I mean, 30 pip range on Euro over the last couple of days isn't too exciting, but hopefully NFP will shake things up today, and if we do get a big weak number, then we can really start to get some volatility towards the upside, I think. We should get some interesting moves. I mean, if we, let's say in terms of next week, so I'll start doing these videos on a Friday night. I think they're good for a sort of review video and outlook. So yeah, if we get a pop-up today, then that is a one fib that I think will be very popular. So that's the previous swing high, and that previous swing high was off of 38.2, but it definitely is the most sort of recent obvious swing high, in my opinion, in terms of its daily chart. And interestingly, the 50% coincides with previous support here. So previous support could turn into resistance. In fact, it was previous resistance right on that daily candle there, and that comes at one spot 35.33. So do keep an eye on that if we do get a pop up this week. Yes, that's pretty much it in terms of the euro dollar chart. Let's look at cable. What's going on the cable weekly chart? It is starting to retrace down more healthily now. I mean, what have we been speaking about ever since this massive move up? It's definitely been healthy for a retracement to the downside, I think. I mean, I've been saying that for a while, and yes, it has been continuing to grind higher, but yeah, we are starting to get that. And of course, the big weekly fib here is this one here. Of course, we're a long way away from that still, pretty much 800 pips away. But interestingly though, that 50% lines up bang on the 160 handle. So if we do get there over this year, then that should be a really interesting support. But of course, it doesn't have to get there. What have we been speaking about? These smaller fibs here. Remember, so you got that small one there, and that other dip there. You can obviously see these much clearer on the daily chart. In fact, and that one as well, remember, I forgot about that until last week, remember, so that was a small one there. So 1, 2, 3, and we're now on the fourth little one now. But interesting though, this is starting to get quite heavy. I mean, I've just flipped it to the daily there so you can see a bit clearer. So yeah, yesterday's daily candle we did pierce the 61.8, but we did close above, so that's quite interesting to know. But of course we do have that 100-day moving average there as well, so it struggled to get above that sort of capped it. So yeah, today's daily candle was already pierced below the 61.8 and currently resides below the 61.8. So, but of course NFP will pretty much decide that, I'd have thought. Obviously weak number when we should get a close above, and a strong number, and we really could blow out to the downside here, and then this sort of fib will be in play then. And to be honest, I mean, the only other fib move I personally look at would be that one there, and that the reason why is because it's the fib of the low of the year to the high of the year. And interestingly, actually, we've got some previous support at the 50% retracement, which comes out one spot 67.21. So they're the fib moves to keep an eye out for in terms of the weekly and the daily. In fact, the other one actually, let's say if we do get a bounce up today, then that'll be the bearish move that I personally keep a look out for. I think it'll be quite a popular move. So yeah, that's the fib from the high of July to the low of July, and the 50% retrace comes in at one spot 70.24 there. So that's one to keep an eye out for, I think, as well. And that's pretty much it. So in terms of shorter term charts, the 4 hour, similar to Euro, what has been going on this week, it's just been grinding lower. No massive sort of pop-ups really, and I mean, any of the sort of bounces have just been getting sold off at the sort of the round numbers here. So I mean, you've got the 169, and then you've got the 169.50s as well. In terms of the sort of the 50 pip increments, you can see have just been capped there. So prime example there, came below, came back up, got capped. I mean, that's a really brief retracement there. 169.50 came back down, found support at the 169, came back up, got sold off quickly, and it's just failed to pop higher. And I think the 170 as well, you can see there, exact same thing. They came below, came back up, tested the 170, came back down, came back up there. So it's just classic sort of action, just getting sold off at these sort of 50 pip markers. And the other one actually to note is the one which we're pretty much sitting at the minute is the one. Sorry, I'm just wrong one there. 168.50. Is pretty much where we're sitting at the minute. So it hasn't quite come down there yet, but you can see that's hovering just below. So that's the next sort of one to keep an eye out for. But you can see that in terms of intraday action, it's pretty self-explanatory there what has been going on this week in terms of that. So similar thing on the 1 hour chart there as well. You can see nice and clear there as well. A lovely sort of selling action there, nice sort of buying action, closes above, brief rotation higher, then sell-offs. So yeah, that's what's been going on in cable. Let's flip it to dollar Swiss. What's going on here? What we've been speaking about is this fib move here. That is played out. You can remember, so last week's weekly candle, strong close above there, and this 0% line has played out, and you can then see we get that close above, we came back down here, and the 0% is then acted so as new support, so previous resistance then acts as new support, and it looks like here that we're going to sort of grind high towards a sort of 100 a week moving average and 200 week moving average as well. And in terms of the fibs towards the downside, it's a tricky one to call, because a lot of people will be looking at these sort of swing highs there, and maybe I've done that one there and then that one there, but I think to keep it nice and simple, it's just to take the fib. In terms of this weekly chart, I think it's all about this fib from the high of 2013 to the low of 2014. Of course, we're still quite some way from the 50% retrace here, but that comes at 0.9268, so it's just good to keep that in mind, just in case we do have a strong NFP number today. It looks like we could grind to. If we get a strong NFP number, then I thought we would grind high towards that level. So in terms of the shorter term time frame, so in terms of the daily chart, what have we been speaking about is that move there. So that was the one we just flipped it to on the weekly. So that played out. So in terms of taking the new lows, you can either take that low there, will be a popular one. Let's say if we do sort of retrace, if we get a weak NFP number today and it retraces, that's one to keep an eye out for. Or also interestingly is that low there. The reason I've taken that low there, as you can see, that was this smaller fib within that bigger fib there, which played out really nicely. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, if we do retrace, to see this one get some interesting action. And also why I think this move could be interesting is because this 50% coincides with previous resistance, which you can see right there, but also the 50% lines up with a big level, and that being the 0.90 handle. So that coincides with these highs here, and of course it's a very big round number and most probably a very bigger option expiry level as well. So do keep an eye out on that. And that's pretty much the same sort of view on the 4-hour chart. You can see similar to Euro and cable, it's just been grinding higher. Any sort of small retrace towards the downside has just been bought up. And you can see we've got the sort of trend line support as well. That's been playing out quite well this week as well. Okay, let's look at the Aussie. Aussie's starting to get interesting now. Reason being, I mean, remember it's been for ages and ages, weeks and weeks and weeks. It's been held at the 0.9450s. We've been speaking about this level for some time now. Multiple weekly candle tests of this level, and it's failed to grind higher to get above this level and close above. I mean, interestingly, it was sort of posting some weekly candles above there, and in fact, I think the monthly candle. No. Very interestingly, actually. Of course, we've started a new month now. Check out last month's candle on this Aussie, and you can see we've just reversed off of this 0.9450. And interesting to note, look at this current weekly candle, very bearish indeed. So the fib that we're talking about now, and I have been saying about for a while, in case it hasn't sort of it's failed to get above, which it has big time, and it's this move here I think has to be the fib to keep an eye out for, and that's the fib from the low of 2014 to the high. And this 50% comes in at the 0.9082, so keep an eye on that. Of course, we're still a long way away from that. In fact, we're pretty much about 200 pips away from that, but you never know, a strong sort of NFP number today could weigh on the Aussie, and we could get down quite near that. So yeah, and of course, keep an eye on the 50-week moving average as well. So that's the view on the weekly chart. And in terms of the daily, I mean, the next sort of the key support to keep an eye out for here is the 0.9220s there. So that's the next sort of significant support to keep an eye out for, I think. You can see in May that was a key support there. It held for some time. Got a lovely sort of rotation up there towards the upside. So yeah, I mean, you can see it's pretty much in free-for-all mode now, and that really is the next sort of key support. But in terms of fibs, these have all been blown out now, I think. Where this one here, remember, held for quite a while, but it failed to take out the 0%. It got capped at that key 0.9450s, and it's just closed below. And you can see it tried hanging on to that 61.8 there, and it's just closed below. So I think that fib is now done and dusted, and it's all about the 0.9220s in terms of next sort of key support now. And that's pretty much it. I mean, in terms of shorter terms, in terms of 4 hour, 1 hour, nothing major of interest. I mean, the only other thing I would keep an eye out for is this 4 hour chart. In terms of fibs to on the downside, if you think it's going to keep on going low, I think this could be an interesting one to keep an eye out for. So that is it's that sort of swing high there in July to the low, to the pretty much the current low now, this 4 hour candle. So that 50% comes in at 0.9374s there. Okay, it's the Forex done. Let's have a look at gold, what's going on gold. So in terms of this weekly chart, we have the 50-week moving average now. It's currently below, and it's pretty much slicing through this price action. You can see the last couple of weeks though, we did hold above this 50-week moving average, but it is looking quite heavy this week, gold. In terms of the fibs, I think we had this fib move. Actually, no, it wasn't quite really that fib move. I think that's purely off a level, wasn't it? But in terms of, I think it's more interesting on the daily, this chart. We've spoken about this fib for some time now. Remember, we've got the two, the two sort of big holds here on gold, but they didn't hold for that long. You can see they always just got capped, and they were making lower highs. Remember, and you can now see that it is just grinding lower. Now we've got that daily close below the 100-day moving average, and yesterday's daily candle close was below the 50%. But interestingly, we've now tested the 61.8% retracement, and you can now see that's trying to hold. So similar to euro, well, similar to pretty much all those FX pairs, it's all about NFP today. If we get a weak NFP number, then I wouldn't be surprised to see this close back above the 50%, and then we could have a really strong weekly candle there as well, and it could then continue towards the upside. But if we do get a strong NFP number, then we could get these potential these stops around here. Well, definitely stops below today taken out, and then we're looking at these sort of the 100% marker area at 1240s over next week potentially. So yeah, big day today. In fact, actually, let's quickly look at the monthly candle. What was going on in the monthly candle here? Of course, we've got a new month now. So yeah, I mean, you can see last month's weekly candle is a bearish candle, but it hasn't really closed below these ones, so it could easily just be a retracement candle. And if we get a weak NFP today, then it could easily just grind back up and take out highs. So yeah, very interesting day today. NFP, it's going to pretty much determine a lot of charts, I think, over for the sort of next sort of few weeks, months, in terms of the technical stuff. So do keep an eye out on that. That's at 1:30 GMT. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If there's any other pairs we need to take a look at next week, then feel free to comment under the YouTube channel or send us a tweet to our Twitter feed, which is at AGM Markets. Hope you have a great rest of the week trading. Hope you have a good weekend and a good week trading next week, and I'll catch you next Friday.